This illustration deals with identification and grouping in accordance with 690.31b as in boy. The purpose of the change, a revision was accepted. And this revision has been made to clarify that the past several code cycles have prohibited PV systems, DC circuits, from occupying the same wiring method or inverter output circuits without the use of partitions or separation. An optional was added for barriers in addition to partitions. An exception was added for other multiple conductor cable assemblies listed for such application in the same wiring method. A barrier is a more generic term than partition and would allow approved methods to keep these circuits from direct contact. Now, kind of reviewing the called out information, you have your PV system output conductors and everything is mounted on the roof with your disconnects and so forth, routed down through the combiner box to the PV system's disconnects, and then naturally your batteries are interconnected appropriately. Article 480 talks about the storage batteries, and then you could operate off those batteries when you wasn't operating off of the PV system. And of course, we point out this is a one-line diagram, and we're not necessarily showing everything of the PV system. The wiring method comes down and is routed over to the service equipment and the equipment that is mounted for the PV system where it is converted, and we're dealing with AC power there. Now, the bullets, note 1 right up above the illustration, notice PVC connections and class 1 remote control signaling power limited circuits of PV systems can occupy the same enclosure, the same cable or raceway as permitted in 680.31b. Now note 2 says, but PV systems of DC circuits shall not occupy enclosures, cables, or raceways or other non-PV systems as required in 680.31b as in boy. Note 3 states, the above circuits can be mixed if separated from other circuits by partitions or barriers that are outlined in 690.31b. The final note 4 states PV systems, DC circuits using multiple conductor jacketed cable or metal clad assemblies or listed wiring harnesses occupy the same wiring method as the inverter output circuits and other non-PV circuits as outlined in 690.31b when we use the exception as designers or installers. Now, this pretty well handles the information of identification and grouping as the revision calls for. But notice the PV systems mounted on the roof could be series for a certain voltage, or could be parallel for certain current ratings, or both. It depends on how the system is connected and what is desired for the equipment supplied by this PV system. But notice 690 is a different article than 691 for utility type PV systems, very large systems that are listed there. So once again, I caution you folks that design and wire and maintain these systems of 690. Be sure you review the entire article before you attempt to install these systems or design them by the 2020 code when it's adopted by the state, county, or city, whichever affects your design and installation by this new Article 680 with its revisions. When I say new 690, I'm talking about the revisions and changes and so forth.